Oop. There we go. Batman right on cue. The moment I press record, he knows. It's been quite a while since we've done an SCP reaction, but we're finally back. And we're kicking it off with SCP-3001, Red Reality.
SCP-3001, Red Reality. What does it mean to be truly alone? You can be alone in a room, in a building, on an island, or on the moon. Or you can be alone in your own
Starting
mind.
off a philosophical question.
But we all
already.
live in a world filled with people. SCP-3001, on the other hand, shows us an example of an individual
Are
that
any
is
of us truly
and
alone?
utterly alone.
Oh,
Which
well,
is a unique
I guess
case
he's
of
alone.
science fiction, and yet it also manages to be surprisingly grounded in reality. SCP-3001 is not a happy story, but it's also an incomplete one.
When is it ever a happy story?
Of hope.
Except for the
999
slime
was
one.
pretty happy.
3001 takes the
Yeah.
form of transcribed logs, so I would suggest reading through it all yourself.
Well, I guess the
but
Santa
I'll try
one
to
was
strike
also
a
kind
balance
of
between
nice.
summarizing and reading them.
Which one?
To put it simply,
The
SCP-3001
computer one.
is a non-dimension, accessible through the creation of a specific type of flawed wormhole. Basically, it is a space between dimensions
That's all I'm good
that
for
really
is
shouldn't
flawed
exist,
wormholes.
but was discovered by the SCP Foundation accidentally. It is
Space
believed
between
to extend
dimensions.
infinitely in all directions,
that?
but possesses no matter of any kind. The non-dimension
So it's kind of like the
also
space
has
in
an
between your
extremely
walls,
low
is that it?
Hume level,
Oh,
which is a degree of
yeah.
measurement used by the Foundation to measure the strength or amount of reality in a given
Have we
area.
watched something with Hume levels
In
yet?
other words, our baseline
I haven't heard that
reality
term before.
has a given level of Hume that we're accustomed to, but certain factors, such as other dimensions or reality benders, can change that level of Hume
I feel like
as
we've
things
had it
become more
mentioned
or less
briefly.
real, so to speak.
Maybe I'm wrong.
What a very low Hume level means for 3001 is that matter that would be located inside the non-dimension decays at an extremely slow rate, and organisms could still function despite taking damage that would normally kill them, up to a certain point. The downside of this, however, is that Hume fields tend to even out, and so prolonged exposure to 3001 will cause an organism's Hume level to drop until they begin to disintegrate. 3001 was discovered in
from
2000
what I remember,
while Dr. Robert Scranton and his
we
wife,
learned a little bit
Dr.
about
Anna
this
Lang,
during the
were working
second
on a device
backstory
that
of
would
Radical
stabilize
Larry.
reality by manipulating Hume levels. Unexpected seismic activity at the site damaged several experimental reality stabilizers, creating one of those specific wormholes, which proceeded to pull Robert into the non-dimension before closing. We are then presented with a large number of logs, transcribed from audio recordings made by Robert. For the first 8 days of Robert being inside 3001, he attempts to navigate the non-dimension to find a way out while going through periods of panic, confusion, and anger.
Understandable,
He makes
yes.
his way over to a control panel that had gone through the wormhole with him, although he doesn't realize at first that it is actively recording. He makes several recordings, presumably for his own benefit, as he states his name and date of birth, mentions his favorite color is blue, and his favorite song is Living on a Prayer, and that he loves his wife, Anna. Before long, he notices a flashing light on the control panel, and realizes that the machine is working and recording. He panics and states his name again, asking if anyone can hear him, saying he doesn't know where he is. He's not sure at all how the machine is working, but he's pretty sure that no one can hear him. He also notes how hungry and thirsty he is, saying that he should have died of dehydration by now, an effect of the low Hume level, although it will take Robert some time to realize this. After fiddling with the machine some more, he locates the controls, causing the machine to speak, telling him he's been here for 2 weeks, 3 days, 7 hours, and 58 minutes. Another week goes by, with Robert realizing now that it doesn't seem like he'll die here due to hunger or thirst, and he wonders if by some miracle he'll find his way out of here. 5 weeks go by with Robert barely recording anything, but he comes back and says that he's been trying to learn about this place he's in, referring to it as his prison and his kingdom. He manages to maintain his professionalism, recording a log saying that he's going to document this place as an SCP to maybe help someone else in the future that gets stuck in here.
I wonder if there's some sort of beneficial
later,
use for this
a log as if it were a
space.
standard SCP document about the non-dimension.
I feel
We
like
can see the cracks
there's
in his
always
mental state
some
beginning
use
to
for
show.
everything.
The only light
You have
source
to
in
be
the entire
creative to find
non-dimension
it.
is a small red
Radical
light
area is
on the
very
control
useful,
panel.
yes.
So he's been using that as a marker for his
I mean, if
exploration.
he wasn't psycho and trying
He
to
also
like
notes that he's felt
kill
an
and hunt
itch
people, maybe.
or a tingle across his head recently, but only if he concentrates on it. He next
Maybe
realizes
we use this
that
space to
although
preserve
he's thought
food.
He's been walking
Yes.
on flat ground this whole time. There really shouldn't be
It's
anything
Ultimate
decaying in this
refrigerator.
reality, so
And now he noticed that it's felt more like he's been swimming through something that's been applying pressure, like a thick black gel. He now
Swimming in
realizes
space?
that by concentrating, he can actually move vertically as well as horizontally, again using the red light as his reference
movement
point,
unlocked.
or as he calls it, Little Red.
Little
He
red.
understands a bit more about the
I think he learned how to
location
use
he's
the
in now,
WASD
knowing that it
keys.
was caused by a problem
Yeah.
with the reality stabilizer. He does some math, and apparently figures out how low the Hume level of this non-dimension is, but is not sure of the effects of that, as he's mostly worked with above-average Hume levels.
Whoever
At this point,
is.
he really begins
Like-
talking to the red light.
Oh yeah,
directly,
there's a
as
very
if it
low
were a
amount of
person.
reality here.
He seems to be speaking
Okay.
to it and imagines responses coming back from it, but this is pretty understandable given the situation.
Yeah.
Robert's
Man's
scientific
trying to
mind
cope.
allows him to keep focus, however, as he continues to perform calculations to help him understand 3001. He learns
That's
that
what
the
I do
reality
when I'm
stabilizer
panicked.
that sent
Math.
him and the control panel here cranked up their Hume levels to a few times normal level.
For some reason, I
meaning that it
highly
would
doubt
take
that.
longer for them to equalize with 3001
What?
and disintegrate.
No.
By his calculations, he has about 3 years or so before he's gone, and he believes he'll have something figured out by then.
Mm-hmm.
The tingling feeling he's had is his Hume level starting to diffuse. Robert's next log reads, "Hey Red, I'm gonna have to go for a bit. I want to test something, and you can't come with me.
Aw.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
He's going out to buy
No,
milk.
Red, I'm really, really sorry. I want you to come. I do. But if we're together, the diffusion will increase faster. We both need as much time as possible. I need to figure this place out more, and you need to make sure you keep all that info in your head. It's... Red, come on. You'll be fine, Red. I know you will.
It's his
You're
little
tough.
isolation buddy.
A lot tougher than me. It'll only be for a bit, Red, but I need to see if I can find a way to keep us alive a bit longer. Maybe even get us out of here. If I can contain enough field, I can maybe even get us out. No, I'm not sure, but I need to find out. Red, we're talking about possibly escaping, okay? Yeah, it's a gap. A gap should have an end, like the walls of a canyon, understand? I need to find
Yeah.
a wall, and then I can... I'm sorry, Red. I hope we're still friends when I come back. I'm going now. I'll see you soon. The control panel didn't record
Aw.
anything for nearly
Poor
4
Red.
full months, when suddenly Robert returned, far less hopeful than when he left.
No.
He says that this place is hell, and it goes on forever. He traveled in a single direction for 2 months before turning around. He then wonders if he let himself fall down long enough, would he eventually hit a bottom? More than 4 months go by before Robert returns again, saying there is no bottom either. This is the point where Robert's mental state really begins to deteriorate, as he asks Red if he's ever
But
been
he was
married
so sane.
or had kids, begging Red to talk to him. He suddenly
Sure,
realizes
sure.
that his picture of Anna is fading due to the Hume levels, and he
No.
panics, begging Anna not to go, and asking Red to go get help. Robert loses coherency at this point, as months go by.
Can't imagine
with him
being
only
in this
sobbing,
position though.
screaming,
No.
and mumbling. It has now been roughly 2 years
Just
and
pure
9 months
isolation.
since Robert entered SCP-3001. Robert finally manages to return and make another recording, although his voice is now distorted due to both his own and the control panel's Hume levels dropping. He says that he can't feel his legs anymore, and he's not even sure if he's real anymore, but he knows he doesn't want to die yet. He says he went in a straight diagonal line for 6 months, and fell down for 8 months, but still found no end. He tells Red that he and Anna were planning to name their kid Lucy. His hand begins to break apart, resembling a spider web, but he still retains his knowledge of science, continuing to do calculations on 3001. Unfortunately, his body is beginning to seriously disintegrate, as he claims his hands are moving through each other, and he pulls his thumb off. He says he can go
Look at
through
what I
himself,
can
Look at
do.
this trick.
feeling
Yeah.
both warm and cold, and also loses a kidney. But please,
Oh, rip.
let him keep just his heart. 5 years have passed now, with Robert and the control panel still somehow
alive?
held together. But finally the red light begins
Isn't
to
that
fade.
longer than it projected originally? I can't remember
Yeah.
what you
Months
said.
go
Much
by,
longer.
and Red seems to make a return. Robert attempted to kill himself over 220 times, but none of them
Damn.
worked. He can't see his body due to the darkness, but speculates that he at least has 1 foot left, a few leg muscles, maybe a lung, and a heart.
Maybe a
He
lung.
claims that this non-dimension is now
Hard to
getting
say.
smaller, as there now seems to be a visible border that is getting brighter. The light from this border allows Robert to see himself, and he says there's so much gone, although the control panel seems to be far more solid than him. Robert claims that touching the panel hurts like hell, but he's surprisingly lucid now. He comes to a realization about the collapsing border, which is acting more like waves, and also begins to understand what we already know about 3001 being a non-dimension between 2 realities, saying that it's a dead end. Robert says that these waves are from a parallel reality, and they're pushing on him and Red, gradually creating a new wormhole. The only problem is, he's not sure what will happen when that wormhole is created.
I mean,
Robert's body
way
continues
out
to break down as
to
blood
anywhere.
leaks from him, and he finds himself constantly vomiting,
Or just
despite
crushes
not
him.
having eaten anything for years, nor having a stomach to hold
at
him.
least an end will come.
He says that he's not ready to go back
True.
yet, as he's pretty much a floating pile of organs kept functional by 3001.
Oh no.
He has to stay away from the waves to prevent him from going through a wormhole and dying, but unfortunately the control panel will eventually go through. Robert says that he has 5 more years in 3001, during which he will
Damn.
slowly restabilize, giving him 5 years to figure out how to get out, but he'll have to stay in here without his metal companion. A
No.
humming pulse begins growing louder in the background.
Not
and
too sure
Robert
he's gonna
breaks
do too
down
good
in
without this
hysterics
metal
again,
companion, though.
becoming almost incomprehensible
Yeah.
as he begs both Red and
It's kind of
Anna for
acted as his
support,
anchor.
wanting to hold her hand and telling her he lost his ring.
Aww.
5 years, 11 months, and 21 days after an incident sent Dr. Robert Scranton into a non-dimension, the stabilizer control panel, thought lost, suddenly reappeared in the testing facility. Dr. Anna Lang, overseeing the testing, went to investigate the panel, horrified at finding it covered in blood, bile, viscera, and hair, identifying the hair color as belonging to Robert. A hand fell off of the panel, along with a wedding ring, and Anna accessed the first audio log, hearing her husband's voice for the first time in nearly 6 years. She proceeds to faint from shock.
Why does SCP gotta do us like this?
This is where the story of SCP-3001 leaves off, ultimately unfinished and leaving Robert's final fate to your imagination. According to the author, although much of Robert went back to our reality along with the control panel, there is still some of him in 3001, and it's quite possible he's still functional. Will he find a way to eventually return to reality and reunite with his wife? Or will he slowly go completely insane and disintegrate entirely? Those aren't the only options, as some tales have shown, but I think it's good a story like this is left so open to the reader. The concept of being isolated from all human contact is certainly not a new one in fiction, but it's rarely taken to this degree. Not only was Robert left stranded with only a machine to talk to, he was left in near total darkness and had no way of ending his life. Chances are we've all felt emotions of loneliness and isolation at one point or another. But at least we're not stuck in the red reality.
Yes.
At
That makes
least
me
we
feel
got that
so much
going for
better.
us.
Oh no. Splattering noise heard. I love you, Red. I love you, Anna. Oh no. 5 years, 11 months, 21 days. Jesus, man. Suffering.
I watched this one a long time ago, and I just remember it being really sad and that I really liked it, but I didn't remember hardly any of the details. And it was pretty much what I remembered.
It's not horrifying like, oh, there's a big scary monster that's about to kill you. It's horrifying because of loneliness. Absolute nothingness that is the red reality. Just a space in between dimensions that you accidentally slip into. No up, no down, no walls. It's just infinite space everywhere. Oh god. Being trapped in that kind of dark space for any amount of time. Imagine somebody with that, what is it called? Thalassophobia? Like the fear of the ocean. Oh my goodness, man. If you're trapped
better
here,
or worse for them, because you know that there's nothing out there. It's completely empty. Because I feel like with people with thalassophobia, the fear is what's beneath them. Like that fear of just the darkness, that anything could be there, right? I don't know. I don't have it.
I see. I always understood it as like the fear of the open water because there's just nothing.
Well, yeah. I don't know. The people that I've talked to who are scared of the ocean, that's what they've told me. You can't tell what's down there. Anything could be there.
Do we know that there's nothing living here in the red reality? Did we just not find it? We can imagine whatever we want.
Theoretically, everything would act just like it did for Dr. Scranton and just slowly disappear over time. That's what the Hume levels did.
If we ever did hear about the Hume levels, which one? I guess the
I feel like it came to
Crimson
play in
King
the Hanged
or something?
King play.
The Hanged King.
I can't remember specifically, but it dealt with like reality stuff. Having this is your first time listening to the Red Reality, and we just watched 106 not that long ago. What's your opinion now that you've watched the Red Reality on the idea that Dr. Scranton could be 106? Just that tale in general.
106 being Radical Larry, right? I guess the conclusion there kind of makes sense in a way. Like, oh yeah, he found a way back somehow, but obviously because of the red reality, he's been disintegrated into something that's completely unrecognizable. But I mean, I think the first backstory, which was like the original one, I feel is better simply because that came about from two anomalies interacting with each other rather than like a freak accident.
I kind of like Scranton as kind of this isolated incident more than tied to 106 personally. I feel like there is some interesting tales you could write from this, but I like
Certainly.
106 to the other origin idea more, or just by itself.
The good thing about this SCP is that it's left open-ended, so people can continue the story however they want to.
Which is the benefits to SCP as a whole.
Yeah.
It is what you want it to be, pretty much. There is no canon, or everything is canon. Whatever you want to see it as.
And thankfully, this time, this SCP doesn't have a bunch of information that's redacted. Looking at you, you know who you are.
It's in the past. It can't hurt you anymore. I really enjoy this SCP, but I like these kinds that are more, I don't know what's the word for it. They're not existential, but just kind of, I don't have a good word for it. I enjoy these.
Cosmic horror, I guess. Is it?
Yeah, I'm a big cosmic horror fan, so I guess that does fit.
But alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more SCP. Hopefully we'll be able to do much more soon. But until next time, see you guys later.
Bye bye.